Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to our first video for technical support services around swimming. This one will really be around a return to the pool. Today, joined by Gregor McMillan. He is the performance swimming coach at the University of Aberdeen Swimming Club. Just to give us a bit of an insight into what we've both done as returning clubs and kind of how it's been. So good morning, Gregor.
Good morning.
I guess the first thing is you guys have been back pretty much the longest, have you?
Yeah, so we've been really fortunate. ASV were very quick in terms of getting risk assessments in order and procedures in place to allow us back. We had a small group that were selected by Scottish Swimming that had been back in the water and were kind of single individuals per line and pretty strict rules around how they needed to operate from heat, temperature measures taken before sessions, and that was pretty strict. To, like I say, us being one of the first groups back at the beginning of September. So far, everything's been really positive, and quite happy to kind of get back to some flowing sessions rather than just feeling like you had to comply with all the rules that were out there.
Yeah, I guess we've been the same. We've been back just a month now, and I think one of the things that's good is we've been back a lot longer than most clubs between the university and DICE, and we found the same. Like, we never really had that interim period where it was just a couple of swimmers, but with all the things in place, we're due to our committee is on the ball. So it's good that ASV was on the ball as well, and they managed to approve our stuff and get us back in pronto, which is always ideal. But the ASV have been really good in terms of getting us all back in. So how's it been returning back to kind of a semi-normal with your group?
I guess it's been a phase. That initial approach, I guess we as coaches felt like we were on edge in terms of everything that we were doing. I think the first session we had back, the kind of first thing I did wrong was almost one of the first things. So they came in and they removed masks, and they were within such a close proximity of each other that the kind of feedback from our COVID officer was actually just get them to keep masks on to the last minute. So other than that, it's been really smooth. Athletes understand that if they're out of the water for a prolonged period of time, the mask is on. If they're interacting with me again for a prolonged period, then I've got my mask on that the athlete has, and I guess that's been just getting used to. It's such a new approach and not uncomfortable for the athletes, but a little bit for me as a coach, projecting my voice, just natural interactions with athletes. It's different, and I think actual FaceTime is going to be key out with sessions. So doing one-to-ones online, having small conversations with athletes in between is going to be absolutely key, because they really are missing that, and certainly from feedback, it's just natural conversation, little pauses in a set where we don't even chat swimming. It's the other things that we talk about are kind of missing, and probably until this week just haven't existed. But we're kind of getting that back in, talking about exams for those guys that have that at school. How things are operating at school in terms of sort of COVID, and how relaxed those environments appear to ourselves. So yeah, lots of things going on, but really positive to have a group of athletes back in and working well.
I think we found the same. I think the first session we had back, there was nobody else in the building. I actually wondered what was going on. We walked in and there was literally nobody else there. We walked through and the kids did exactly the same. They came on poolside, masks off. And I think that was one thing that we quickly realised, that so we're all getting changed on poolside before and after swimming. So we thought, like, guys, make sure you keep your mask on until you're literally last minute before you go in. And I think in our group, our eldest one is 18, but our youngest one is like 8 years old. So obviously the 8 to 12s are all like trying to get in amongst each other and speak, and the older ones are trying to keep 2 meters distance, and there's siblings in each squad. So it was quite an interesting first session. But really, I would say that our swimmers are actually more than happy this way at the moment, because they're guaranteed to be 4 a lane. They're two at each end, so they've got loads of space. And I guess at the moment the swimming isn't quite the same as it was, which I'll go on to later. But they seem to have adjusted to it extremely well, especially because some of them are really young. I think you're right about the mask. I don't have a problem projecting my voice ever, but with the mask on, I think the younger ones sometimes they read your face when you're talking, and I think sometimes they can't figure out if you're being serious, if you're having a laugh with them, and I think that's the only thing I'd say that has been a little bit of a sticking point for me, is with the really young ones. They just can't tell if you're being deadly serious or try to have a giggle with them. So although I have heard you've got a weird mask, have you not? Did your swimmers not gift you something to say?
I'm certainly not putting it on screen. It was I found out that Lisa's is a lovely swimming one. It's got like lines and is lovely in blue. Mine has the creepiest looking lips and the worst looking moustache you can imagine. So it had one trip out and it's been put away, never to be seen again.
I think that even that is something good. It's something that takes the swimmers' minds off what's going on. And like one thing we've got one thing we've got is
most of them couldn't look me in the eye because it was that uncomfortable.
too busy staring at the mustache. But one of the things that I think we've had, so because we've been training on poolside, I said to everybody, look, to make it quicker and easier, try and get yourself a onesie. So
yeah.
the variety the variety of onesies that have came through the dice stores are getting quite spectacular at this point, and I think they're all having a bit of a laugh with it and sharing them online to see who can get the best ones and which are the best looking ones and the comfiest and the warmest. So even things like that, I think, has taken their mind off of exactly what's going on within the pool. And really, I don't think that they've got an issue with all this stuff right now. We've been in 4 weeks, and really, I can't see many people having any real issues. I guess one of the things, the biggest things that we discussed with other people this week was around. So some of the swimmers have come back. I mean, have you found any retention issues? Have you found any new people coming in, kind of things going forward?
I guess the group I had have pretty much stayed the same. Some of the university students were a little bit later back in, and then a few of them have just chosen not to come back. Just situation didn't allow. In terms of the group, they're all really quite focused. I think there was so much just free time that they almost needed a little bit of discipline in terms of coming in, operating in a certain way, coming into a session and knowing as a collective group they're going to work consistently well. Not always super hard. We're not there in terms of the kind of season plan, but just coming in with hopefully a clear goal within that session, and then working towards that. So attention to detail has been good from the athletes. They've tried to do it because they've had to. The one-to-ones that we would normally have or the interactions are just not quite the same. Mass prohibiting means that I can't get an athlete out and even manipulate them into a position for sort of freestyle catch, backstroke, making sure that there's a bit of rotation of shoulders, which I would normally do at this point in the season. So certainly for themselves, there's been a lot of demonstration and then the athlete trying to kind of adopt and make that their standard technique. So really good in terms of from their perspective, and then from a coaching perspective, challenged in that it's just not been kind of easy to work with them. It's actually easier to just get them into something without being fast, but just a bit more continuous. and then just stopping athletes individually and having some interaction as best I can.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I found by what I've been speaking to people across the district and stuff, it seems like retention's been really high to start with. But I think the challenge was always going to be, what's that going to be like after a couple of weeks? What's that going to be like after a couple of months? Because I think someone I've mentioned you before is that one of the best quotes I ever heard, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was, said it: swimming is an amateur sport that requires professional commitment. And it's so true. Like it's one of the things that stuck with me pretty much my whole coaching career, is that I think a lot of people, they've been out the pool for 6 months, have now come back, and they've realised the amount of work they're going to have to put in to get back to it. And some of them are just at an older age, and they're like, you know what, I've done 6-7 years of this. Do I really want to do that again and start us from scratch? And then there's the other side where some of them have came in and went, actually, this is a brilliant time to start from scratch. I can sort out bits that I've never sorted out before, and I don't have to worry about getting times for anything at the moment, and I can just kind of take my time. And I think that's been a big thing for us. And our members numbers have actually grown over the last week. We've had a lot of swimmers joining our non-competitive squads from
Yeah.
from elsewhere. So it's kind of been a weird situation. I kind of expected a few of our lot to maybe go off. It's been a tough time, and we don't know. But really, we've not seen that yet. And as I said, a few weeks in, we're 4 weeks in now, so it could potentially change. But at the moment, we've not really had that. And I think something I'll come on to for you here is that I'm very I'm very varied with what I do in my sessions. Like I like to think that we do things a little bit different, but everybody does. But we try and make it as interesting as possible, especially coming back. There's certain bits of the session that I let the kids control, that I have no control of. I just say, like, this is 10 minutes, this is yours. I want you to do what you want to do to get yourself ready for what we're doing in the main set. Or at the end, I'll give them 10 minutes to say, right, as long as you're social distancing, you're 2 meters apart in the pool, do what would you like to do. Certain 25s drill, what would you like to do? And I think even that gives them a little bit of power to go, actually, yeah, the session's been a little bit boring or a little bit straightforward, so I'm going to try something a little bit interesting. And for the first weekend, which was really weird, is I didn't want them doing any fly. Purely, a fly kick was fine, but I didn't want them doing any fly purely because I wanted them to kind of figure out the lane rotation and not have to do that. But even when I give them their own time, we found that a few of the ones that really enjoy fly decided, you know what, I'm gonna dinghy in a few lengths fly here and see how we go. And there's some of them surprised me how good they looked, and some of them surprised me, and I was like, oh my word, I'm gonna have to go in after them. So
Yeah.
it's been a weird thing. So what kind of things have you been doing to kind of like spice the sessions up a bit, keep them on their toes?
I guess that's the season plan. What I would normally do in this phase would be very much pretty simple in terms of very technique orientated, some sort of low level steady stuff, and then some sprinting. And I guess where I've probably shifted things is reduce the low level steady stuff, and just swam fast a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
This time of year would normally be or historically would be a point where we would do a North District sprint event, and I've kind of said, actually, we can do that internally ourselves. We can run something that gives them the opportunity to just go fast. I think that we've still tried to encourage the technique points, the development of skills, and the repetition of them, but a little bit more into a sort of race environment, rather than at that kind of lower level steady, and that's been really successful. In terms of the weekly plan, we probably go fast, on average about an extra session and a bit, and it's been really good. I think they've engaged really positively with that. It's given boys in particular, and it's maybe just the young lads that I have, just clear direction. They feel like they're coming in and they're doing something really targeted. And boys can feel a little bit lost in terms of, there's not, like we've said, there's no competition plan ahead, but there kind of is. They've just got to make sure they kind of get their head around the online stuff, the virtual racing that we potentially will do, and the chance that there's going to be a competition around Christmas time, and if not into the new year. So we've tried to get bodies to improve, but I've also tried to get heads to kind of get involved. And in terms of things that we've done that have been sort of fun individual things, we kind of started with technique element was sculling, just that natural movement of the water. And I think you're probably looking at maybe 10 days back, we did some sort of sculling championships just to add a competitive element for them. A whole lot of cheating going on in terms of sort of breaststroke pool that was started, but the kind of rigidness of a session was kind of lost at that point, and it became the closest to a natural session as it could, because we were laughing at some of the attempts at sculling, the dodgy fly kick that was going on, and claiming it was just a movement of their body, through to competitive things. So we did a little race series where we did all the 50s, 100 IM, and then a 50 underwater. And I know there was some fear around doing underwater, but I think a single 50, where at any point that individual can breathe, is not anything to kind of be concerned by. And actually just seeing the race skills and then adding a little bit of time to that was just nice to see them kind of get into the competitive element, as boys do, working out where they could pick up time, where they could try and improve against their teammates that were maybe slightly ahead. So that's given some direction, and it was literally just an Excel sheet that we worked out, where they kind of positioned in the races, and it was a cumulative time that we kind of worked towards. So it's just nice to have that element. Alongside that, we've stood up and raced. We popped on race suits, and that was allowed with a sort of Wednesday afternoon, because that session is university guys and then school age guys in two separate sessions, and just being able to warm up as if it was a competition at ASV, race in a race suit, without the timing pads in. That was the only thing that was missing from it being sort of a clear time trial, but it was nice to get some heads into race environments, and even just looking at times, which is not really about just now. Some of them are quick, some of them swam best times, some of them just enjoyed being within the sort of small percentages away from best times. So some really good things going on, and like I say, we seem to be a happy collective group, with a few that maybe just need some help in terms of guiding them back into the sport as positively as possible.
Yeah. I guess we've done something the same. So we've had some times where we've done technique a lot every day. So set aside X amount of 25s every day to go through the techniques of strokes and kind of get them doing what they want to. And so, there's some of the stroke techniques have looked absolutely excellent. They've come back, and some of them have grown a lot, especially younger ones. Some of them have grown a lot and can't control what they're doing, and then some of them have grown a lot and it's like nothing has changed, but now they're stronger and bigger. And so we did a time trial the same. We basically took them on poolside already dressed in their race gear, put them up for 350s. And I think we had something like 12 personal bests. So out of a group of 20 is pretty good. And the thing is it's not about time, but when you look at that and you think, oh, they've been back for 4 weeks and they're already pressing their times away, then you think, I mean, what's it going to be like when they're back to normal training, when they're back up and they're fit and they're used to it? And I mean, diving is something that has absolutely blown my mind. Is out of everything that they have still got, some of them just do not have diving. I've seen the most horrific diving from my lot, in the entire time I've been a coach, which has been totally strange because normally they're pretty good at it. I think it's just kind of getting used to being back up on the blocks and stuff like this. But we've done things like that, and I mean, even I'm one that for some sessions we'll randomly get them to pop out and just do some jumps off the block, just for just for something to give them a laugh and give them a giggle with each other and see how far some of them can jump and how terrible some of them fall in. So it's kind of it's been a very interesting time actually, and I think I say our coaches have found it pretty decent, and the swimmers have found it pretty good. And I think going into next phase will be the big one is that how after a month, how are the kids finding it? Are they able to get back into training? We've not done anything over 200 meters at the moment. So that I think once we get into multiple 200 meters, into the 400 meters, so we'll see how the kids are really feeling fitness wise. But the processes and stuff like that just now are so much easier because nobody, from my perspective, nobody has anything to stress about just now. There's literally nothing to aim for, and they can just come in and enjoy the sport.
I think that I can fully relate to that. We've kind of targeted mini goals. I think we're kind of referring to at the moment, just day to day. What am I trying to be better at within that session? Midterm goals are tough because we just don't know, and they might be virtual, and athletes might not get their head in. So the mini goals mean that every single day they're going to come in and go, I'm thinking about this, this, and this, and I'm going to see if I can progress that on. And actually, part of that might just be I've done 2 double sessions in a row, and I'm tired. How do I manage myself and try and maintain some quality? So. Yeah, really just I think there's such an appreciation from us as coaches and the athletes that they're back to something, and it's consistent, and I think that has gone a long way, and I think it will. I think it's a couple of months worth of value we'll get out of that, and you're right. What's the next part? How do we still maintain the enjoyable elements that's going to keep them on track, but then develop some of the sort of physiological sides. And build a bit of an engine for some of these guys over this month, and it's normally October we would put a lot of that down, but yeah. we're kind of offset, so it'll be more into November that we'll take and do those kind of longer sessions.
Yeah, I guess one thing I would say for any clubs that are now coming back over the next couple of weeks is whatever you do, try and make it interesting. I mean, anyone can say, let's do a 2,000 meters and make it easy and make it cruise through. And but really, these guys are going to want something to keep their mind on. Their mind's going to be wandering it as it is. And I think one of the biggest problems that we have is if you've come into a coaching environment that's already set up and you're just trying to make the swimmers better, I think a lot of problems that we have as coaches everywhere is that we just go, right, the kids will manage this. Here's a massive long set, and they can batter through this tough bit. But that's just not going to work just now. And I think that if you want to keep all your swimmers in the pool, you need to be making it as interesting as humanly possible while maintaining that safety element around the social distancing. But as I say, from me and you, it seems that the swimmers have really kind of stepped up to it. They've not been overly bothered by it, and I think they're kind of getting used to this being the new norm for a while anyway. But thanks very much for joining me this morning, Gregor.
Yeah.
As I said, it's nice for other people to see. From obviously, I'm from a small club, and you guys are up at the performance unit, so it's nice to see the differences and the similarities that we're having.
Yeah, definitely.
The first month. But thank you very much, and I'm sure I'll back to both sides very soon.
Nice one, thanks, Sean.